Hello, everybody. It's been a while since I've done one of these talk to camera videos. I guess I've just had more fun doing the sketch stuff. I figured every once in a while it's probably good to actually talk about the books that I'm reading. So I'm going to do that today for you. The title of this video, What If We're Wrong, comes from a book I just read recently by Chuck, not the guy who wrote Fight Club. Who the fuck is it? Chuck Klosterman, that's his name. He wrote this book called What If We're Wrong, and I think the subtitle to it is Thinking About the Present as If It Were the Past. And essentially the whole premise of the book is, what if these sort of deeply entrenched beliefs that we have about current day, whether it be gravity or the Beatles being the greatest rock band of all time, or whatever else, what if, 50, 100, 200 years from now, our preconceptions about those things are completely different? And it's a really fascinating book. Chuck Klosterman is someone who is not necessarily an academic, and I don't think he's really trying to be. He's not coming at this stuff as if he's an expert. He's coming across as just someone who's curious about these topics. He wrote a book that I read earlier this year that's just about the 1990s, and that was really interesting. A lot of his writing has to do with pop culture, but for this book, he does interview people who are sort of experts in their field. For instance, he does a whole section of the book that's about the multiverse theory. So he interviews Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he interviews this other guy who in the book comes across a lot nicer and better than Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm all for science education, and I'm glad Neil deGrasse Tyson exists, but if you've watched a clip of him interacting with another person before, you can, kind of pick up on the fact that he's a little inflexible and a little prickly about certain things. The reason I like this book, though, is it kind of feels like you're sitting around a campfire with somebody, and maybe you've, partaken in some substances, and you're just sort of waxing philosophic about the world and what's around you. And, imagine talking to someone who's super smart but never went to college. They would do well at anything they put their mind to, but they've sort of resigned themselves to these little tiny insignificant things. And it's just a lot of fun. He sort of takes these concepts that sort of seem like stoner philosophy in a way and really explores the hell out of them. He goes really deep on the topics that he chooses to discuss, and it just had me sort of thinking in general about, what are we wrong about today? Something that I always tease other people about is microwaving plastic containers. I don't know why, I just, even if a container says microwave safe, I'm is it though? Is it really? What 50 years from now is going to be something where we're oh, I can't believe we used to fucking do that. That's crazy. Me reading this book too kind of came at a good time. I had just finished reading Ken Liu's translation of the Tao that just came out recently, and I got it as an advanced reader copy, which is really cool. I've gotten a couple of those recently, including the new Haruki Murakami book, which I'm just so pumped about. I finished it earlier this month. I'm really excited to talk about it in depth, but I'm going to wait until we get a little bit closer to the release date on that one. But with Ken Liu's translation of the Tao, it's really cool because, it has the translated passages from the book, but every other chapter or so, there's sort of an inserted chapter from Ken Liu talking about the translation process and giving you historical context into which you can place the writing in a way. Having read that, and then having also read this, What If We're Wrong book, it's really interesting because no matter what Ken Liu does, he can't read the mind of the author of the Tao. He can't know exactly what he meant by what he was saying, and he has to sort of infer these things from the sort of historical accounts around the writing. There's another philosopher that existed around the same time whose name I can't remember, and I'm also blanking on the author of the Tao. I'm tired. It's Sunday. But anyway, Ken Liu kind of uses the accounts that this other philosopher has about the author of the Tao to sort of give it even more context, and a lot of the wisdom that the Tao gives you is so sort of context specific to the time in which it was written, but it's a text that has lasted throughout the ages and that people still find meaning from today. And so what are the parts of the Tao that we might find meaningful now, but maybe people 100 years from now might be like, oh, this is silly or stupid? Or anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this. I just wanted to kind of give you an update on what I've been reading. I've also been reading Shogun, which I've been reading for months and months. I made it through part 1, which was really good, and now I'm on part 2. I don't know when I'm going to finish it. I got a little bit bored. I'll come back to it at some point, but I'm kind of taking a break. I started reading Way of Kings again recently. I think I'm like 300 pages through that now, and that's been really good. My girlfriend's kind of the Brandon Sanderson expert super fan, and so I think I'm going to do a video when I finish Way of Kings that's just sort of us talking about the book and me asking her questions about what's going to happen later. I also started The Overstory by Richard Powers. I was a sustainability major in college and focused on like sustainable ecosystems, and so I was like, a book about trees. Great, sounds good. It's weird having this YouTube channel and sort of trying to like keep up with it from week to week, because there's some weeks where I have a lot to say, and then there's other weeks like this week where I just don't have much to say at all, or rather I don't have enough brain power to really like construct a written piece that I can then video edit and all this stuff. So yeah, work's crazy right now. We're in the middle of event season. I started an Etsy store where you can purchase this Haruki Murakami t-shirt should you want it. Yeah, I'm just busy as hell. I was sick this week. You can kind of tell my voice is still a little bit fucked up. Yeah, I don't know, shit's crazy right now. So you might be seeing me post more infrequently, at least through the end of the year. I have an album coming out. I don't know. I haven't really like formally talked about my band on the channel before, but I have a band. We're called Guest House. If you see any of those sketch videos I do, there's like some music at the end with like the little title card, and that's from my band. The song isn't out yet, but we have an album coming out in December. It is called Feel, and I think it's really good. I think it's probably the best thing I've ever made musically, and I'm very excited to sort of put it out into the world. Part of the reason I mentioned that is because I'm going to be probably spending a lot of energy putting out like promo material for that on those social avenues on the internet, so I don't know how much time or energy I'm going to have for like YouTube stuff. But with that said, maybe next week I'll feel completely differently and want to like do a full-blown video essay again. But yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, anyway, thanks for letting me talk to you. Yeah, anyway, talk to you later. Let me know what you're reading, and thanks for sticking around. Bye-bye.